It's not a new story, but a couple weeks ago, or week and a half, 2 weeks ago, somewhere in there, found a bunch of classified documents in the Biden residence, and I think there's like three different places, or two or three different places where they found these classified documents, and media was kind of playing defense there for at least quite a while now, and they're kind of starting to change a little bit, as you're starting to see a few of the prominent Democrats actually coming out a little bit, or at least some of the higher up, the more popular, what they consider popular Democrats, kind of coming out and talking against Biden a little bit. But regardless, the media still treated this much different than they did when they thought they found classified documents at Trump's residence. However, there is a little bit of a difference here between the two. Biden talked about, when they were going on about these they called classified documents that were actually declassified by Trump when he was president, so he actually could have them at his in his presence. These documents from Biden were from before he was even president, when he had no power and no authority to even have these documents in the first place, and had zero power to declassify these documents. They were from when he was the vice president, which means he did not have the power that Trump had, that he could declassify them. So this is a completely different scenario, completely different case than what the media was trying to portray for Trump, trying to make it sound like it's more, pretty much the same thing, and that, they need to go ahead and do this now. Or that, talking about how Trump, people that were talking to Trump, supporting Trump about all that, through all this, when he could declassify them, and he had declassified them, and they were kind of going on about them, and he didn't have this, shouldn't have this, yada yada yada. Well, I'm sorry, but the president has the power to declassify documents. The vice president does not. That's what Biden was when he had these documents. So he never should have had these in the first place. So, regardless of the differences between them, Biden should have never had these. And then on top of that, these were I know a good chunk of them anyway, were found in his garage. In the garage where his crackhead son, Hunter Biden, and who knows who else, has been in that house with access to these documents that were classified, some top secret. Even I'm pretty sure they even found a few top secret documents in there, which is even higher, even more so classified, whatever. Regardless, any classified documents. So what kind of, Hunter Biden and who knows what else, lived in that house, in the garage, whatever. But yet, they're acting like it was no big deal when this was happening. It's completely ridiculous the way they were acting and trying to make this like it's no big deal. But when Trump, whatever, it was a huge deal when Trump even had the power to actually declassify them, and they were declassified. So regardless, Hunter Biden being in that house, living in that house with that access to that, should scare the hell out of everybody. Hunter Biden's had all kinds of corrupt deals through, Burisma in Ukraine, which was a very, very corrupt oil company, pipeline. I think it was a pipeline or oil company in Ukraine. One of the most corrupt companies in Ukraine. He was he was on the board of directors there, which was only because his dad, Joe Biden, had got him on there and had actual quid pro quo in when they started investigating that company, Burisma, and Hunter Biden's access. But regardless, that's a whole nother story. So there's a little bit of corruption there. And then he also received millions of dollars from the Chinese Communist Party for some business dealings in China that he has no legitimate access, no legitimate reason to even have any of that. He has no experience for these companies. He's not at all a business person or anything that way. But yet he was getting all these millions of dollars from these companies for, while his dad was the vice president. And he was living in this house with these classified documents there. And I don't know when they were there for sure, but there's probably a pretty good chance that since he had come from when he was the vice president, they'd been there for a while all this was going on. That is a matter of national security. When you think about all that, he had dealings with two of our biggest enemies, two of the most corrupt, entities that are actually against America at that time, even when he was, whatever, when he was there. So Hunter Biden had access to these documents, classified documents, while he was having business dealings with two of our enemies, and people acting like it's no big deal, or that Trump's was worse or whatever, like the media was acting like Trump's was worse, even though Trump actually had declassified the documents that he had. On top of that, you can talk about the investigations and all that. I mean, Trump, when they went to investigate Trump, they forced him to remove all the cameras and turn off the cameras and everything so they could watch all that. Well, I'm sorry, but that seems a little fishy there. They didn't do that with Biden because these were actual deals there. Plus, they also gave him time, when they were looking at the last one. I don't think they found anything, but they told him they were coming to look at all these others. So obviously, they're going to have time to get him out. So they're completely changing the game and how they do this, depending on who it is. Biden, honestly, his classified documents would be way worse than Trump's just because of the fact that he didn't have the authority to have these documents in the first place. Trump did, and Trump declassified them. Plain and simple. If they're declassified, anybody, you can have them. It's not against the law, and they're coming out with that now. They're figuring that out. So it's a mess, and it just goes back to the corruption, not only in the media but also in the Justice Department. I mean, this is a mess. And it's a mess that we need to get cleaned up here very soon because we're in a world of hurt right now. And there's a lot of things going on in the world, but this country is going downhill fast. The economy's in shambles right now. We're coming into a major recession right now. It's a mess. And Joe Biden is the vast majority. He's the biggest reason why this is happening. But again, that's a whole nother topic, but I'm just sick of the double standard that the media has and then them playing defense for one side, not the other, playing defense for the Democrats but I mean, they have to, because if they didn't play defense for the Democrats would never win another election wouldn't win the elections, wouldn't control anything because they have no leg to stand on other than the media playing their defense. So but anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on the whole ordeal. Joe Biden's was much worse just because he shouldn't have had him in the first place.